Irish Guy, and 4 years ago, I tried to predict on the channel which must not be named every Premier League club's current player at the time was most likely to go on and become a manager. Yeah, that video is now more outdated than the Hobbit CGI, so let's do the same thing for every Premier League club right now. Who is most likely to be a boss? Twice now I sound like Talisa. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Alexander Zinchenko. If Alexander Zinchenko does not become a world-class manager, I will be shocked. Not only is this man a strong leader of a man, but he was a defensive puppet under Pep Guardiola, always learning, always studying his role. He could play in the new modern full-back position, also come into midfield. Lads, in the past, they used to say defenders like John O'Shea were versatile. No. Zinchenko is one of the most multifaceted footballers in the world. If he was a chess piece, he'd be the queen. He could do so many different things. If he doesn't become a top manager, I'll be amazed. Like, I'm astonished that Philip Lam hasn't become one. He was exactly everything I've described Zinchenko to be, but better. And yet he chooses to what? Spend his days eating popcorn on the couch? Honestly, Zinchenko is going to be a Champions League winning manager with Bayern Munich. Just watch. Oh, by the way, lads, if you're new here, hit subscribe. And also, lads, check out the YouTube shorts, which I've been pumping out on an almost daily basis. Check them out, hit subscribe. Absolute legends. Back into the video. Aston Villa, John McGinn. This doesn't take a genius. Yes, John McGinn might celebrate like some wacky, cheap clown rented for some 9-year-old's birthday party, but just because he's a bit of a joker doesn't mean that's going to stop him from being taken seriously as a manager. McGinn is a leader on the pitch, an absolute hero for Scotland. And lad, Sir Alex Ferguson saw something in it before the mainstream media even knew who he was. But no, Fergie saw a leader in there. When he retires, without a doubt, this man is going to become Celtic manager. McGinn will be a bit like David Moyes, a Scottish stalwart who always just looks like he's tailor-made to be the boss of Celtic Park. Trust me, this will happen. Bournemouth, Joe Rothwell. Yeah, why not? Joe Rothwell is the type of bland, wet mustard stain of a footballer who'll probably turn out to be a surprisingly excellent coach. A bit like Eddie Howe, who, while as a centre-back at Portsmouth, was about as famous as his Costa Coffee cup. He just looked like some little boy whose mum probably still combed his hair. And yeah, Rothwell is a dull as tea water. 28-year-old central midfielder rotting on the Bournemouth bench. But he did spend 15 years of his life at Manchester United, mostly while Fergie was in charge. I would imagine a sprinkling of his managerial fairy dust must have affected him just a little. My guess is that Rothwell now is the coaching bug. And yeah, like how he's going to be a brilliant coach. I'm going to tip him to be a Champions League level manager too for someone like Tottenham. Don't let me down, Joe. Who'll be kidding? In 10 years time, he's just going to be working down the zoo, isn't he? Just wiping up the monkey sick. Brentford, Ben Mee. Who else? Who else am I going to possibly pick? This looks like an almost guaranteed answer. I know Ben Mee recently went on Monday Night Football to try his hand at Punditry, but to be fair, he just looked like a stiff statue with the charisma of a frozen garden gnome. To quote my lispy former classmate Ferdia, who was terrified to read aloud in class, I don't think public speaking is for me. She said that with more of a lisp. So yeah, I know he came through at Manchester City and was briefly chucked into a dressing room with Roberto Mancini, but he spent a decade of his life learning under Sean Dyche. I know he's had slightly more elevated tactical discussions with Eddie Howe and Thomas Frank, but to me is going to be the next Sam Allardyce, someone who just plays ugly Route 1 football, which makes the rest of us bleed from the eyes. Brighton, Adam Lallana. If you asked everybody to do this list, 99% of you would pick James Milner for Brighton. It seems like the obvious choice, right? Do you not think he's one of the least likely ones to go into management? When he hangs up his boots, let's say in 2 years time at the age of 39, he would have completed 24 Premier League seasons. Nobody in the competition's entire history would have played more games than Milner. Not even Gareth Barry or Ryan Giggs, two blokes who probably used to do yoga in the shower and probably hadn't touched a chocolate bar since they were 15. Their brother's wife, on the other hand, oh, no holds barred. Well, for one of them anyway. Guess which one? But Milner is surely going to be mentally exhausted, having been playing week in, week out in the biggest league in the world since 2002. But how do you think Milner's wife would react being told that he's about to embark on another full-on career, which takes up every Saturday, that he's going to continue to miss birthdays and Christmases right into his 60s? Oh, pretty sure he'd have divorce papers crammed down his throat. Milner is not actually a robot, and just like Gareth Barry, no management career. I think the answer is Adam Lallana, who I think is going to be the best English manager in the world. This is not a footballer who plays like he's English. This is a luxurious, samba-skilled, twinkle-toed playmaker who glides about the pitch. He's played his entire career as if he's Spanish, which isn't a total surprise because his granddad is from Madrid. A few years ago, Real Mallorca actually let him use their training facilities while he was on holiday. He's Spanish. Spanish. He just is. The fact he never joined a La Liga club is a bit of a crime. This bloke has always been the David Silva of Wish, or an Iniesta dragged out of a charity shopping bin. And yes, that is a compliment. And he's already joined the England under-21 coaching staff on a part-time basis. He even briefly helped coach the Brighton first team when Graham Potter quit for Chelsea last year. This is a man who's learned under Alan Pardew, Mauricio Pochettino, Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp, Graham Potter, Roberto De Zerbi. Chuck all those coaches in a pot. And yeah, that is some elite tactical stew. Although, I mean, Potter's influence sort of poisons it a bit. It's a bit like leaking dog medicine into the pie. But still, I think Lallana is going to be the first English manager to win the Premier League. He's a mini Guardiola. He will play expansive, tiki-taka, magical Spanish football. He's a future Manchester City boss. Trust me. Burnley, CJ Egan-Riley. Yeah, I don't know. This guy is only 20, so me tipping him to have a fledgling career in management now, it is a little weird. A bit like John Fury naming his baby son after Mike Tyson in the hopes he'd grow up to become a world champion. I mean, for all he knew, Tyson Fury could have just grown up to sell acne cream and boots. But yeah, CJ Egan-Riley, a promising young centre-back who has played underage football for England and Ireland. Oh, great, he's one of those. But yeah, come on. He spent 11 years of his life in the Manchester City Academy. We have seen Guardiola's influence on these children. They just think differently on the pitch. Look at Rico Lewis. He plays like he's about 32. I think this guy is going to be an English coach who has success abroad. He's going to win the Europa League as Ajax manager. Just watch. Chelsea, Thiago Silva. This might seem obvious, okay, but 39-year-old Thiago Silva, he is a spectacular, generational, world-class centre-back talent who has worked with some amazing coaches. But I don't think he'll go on to have a long coaching career at club level. No, I just think he's going to be Brazil manager. He fits the bill. I think Silva is the next Dunga, who was a legendary player for Brazil. And he managed them from 2006 to 2010, then stepped away to coach Internacional for less than a year. And then, yeah, 2 more years as Brazil manager. That is Silva's future. Just going to be Brazil boss. Maybe a year or 2 as manager Fluminense. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The next Dunga. Crystal Palace, Rob Holding. Yeah, go on then. Rob Holding is about as exciting as a half-eaten pancake. The most memorable thing he's ever done is get a hair transplant that no longer makes him look like he's banned from parking near primary schools. Oh, come on then. I can only imagine that spending his early 20s soaking up knowledge under a coaching legend like Arsene Wenger is going to pay off into making him somewhat of a competent coach, right? Although, to be fair, Thierry Henry has wound up having the tactics of a tree. But yeah, go on then. I reckon Holding will be a pretty average mid-table manager. The future Mark Hughes. Nothing special. Everton, Ashley Young. Ashley Young has to be a manager. I don't want to see this bloke chewing bird poo on Monday Night Football. I want to see this guy in a Premier League dugout at Match of the Day. This man has way too much experience not to translate that into being a quality manager. Come on, he has played under a stupidly long list of massive names. Ferguson, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Capello, Conte, Emery. If you add up all the trophies his managers have won, the guy is like a sponge, taking in so much knowledge from these managerial monsters. I reckon he has the potential to be a future Aston Villa boss and someone who one day gets interviewed for the England job. Young is the future. He has so much to offer. What I don't want to see is him wasting his talent by just being the next Ashley Cole. Lads, I'm convinced if Cole probably backed himself and believed in himself, why couldn't he be a world-class manager? Again, one of the finest left-backs ever to play the game. He worked under Wenger, Mourinho, Eriksson, Hiddink, Ancelotti, Spalletti, Arena, Capello. Weirdly, Rooney too. He won everything there is to win, practically completed football, and yeah, what? He just agreed to hand out the bibs in training, in between fetching Lampard his morning rice crispy buns? No! And he's actually now assistant coach at Birmingham City. What a waste! It's beneath him. So honestly, Young, do not become the ghost of Cole. Fulham, Tom Kearney. Yeah, pretty simple this. Tom Kearney, absolute Fulham midfield stalwart who's played nearly 300 times for the club. I just get a stink of Scott Parker off him. Someone who's probably going to seamlessly transition into becoming the Fulham manager once he retires. Yeah, they'll probably be about 15th in the championship by then, but still, just a very ordinary, bang average, lower league coach. Someone no better than Gary Rowett. Liverpool, Thiago Alcantara. Lads, part of me wants to say Andy Robertson. I mean, he is going to be a gruff Scottish manager. Yeah, he probably will. But lads, Thiago Alcantara is someone who has soaked up so much tactical knowledge under Pep Guardiola at both Barcelona and Bayern Munich. He's also worked under Jurgen Klopp. He's a bit like Ilkay Gundogan. You cannot be a midfield maestro under both Guardiola and Klopp and not become a manager. It's a bit like going back to the early 2000s. And for those few lucky souls who played under both Ferguson and Wenger, if they didn't go on and become a manager themselves after being granted the opportunity of a lifetime, then it's an absolute waste. Mikel Sylvester, I'm looking at you. But yeah, Thiago, future Barca boss. Luton Town, Andros Townsend. Look, this probably looks like a stupid shout because Andros Townsend just tried his hand at punditry on Sky Sports before getting that Luton Town gig last week. So he probably looks like he's made for a punishing your career, right? No, talented is a man who admitted he literally burst into tears when Burnley turned him down this summer. Burnley! This is not a guy who's ready to step away from the game. He clearly loves the sport way too much. If he's weeping into his shreddies at the age of 32 because Burnley said no, then yeah, that tells me everything I need to know. I mean, come on, this guy who's traveled all around England in order to save his career, playing for Tottenham, Yeovil Town, Leyton Orient, MK Dons, Ipswich Town, Watford, Millwall, Leeds United, Birmingham City, QPR, Newcastle United, Crystal Palace, Everton, and now Luton Town. Is he not exhausted? He could have chucked a David Bentley and retired in his late 20s, but no, he is still hungry. This is a man who's so desperate to make it in football, he's never even set foot in a nightclub ever. And I reckon, yeah, also considering he's got a gambling problem, the last thing he wants to do is spend the rest of his life sitting at home, twiddling his thumbs and talking to the cat. He wants to keep busy, so yeah, I reckon future QPR manager, he's going to be a journeyman coach, a bit of an Ian Holloway, bouncing from job to job in the lower leagues, but yeah, I just think he's going to be a bit of a London manager. Man City, Mateo Kovacic. There are a few to pick for the Man City dressing room, but I think Mateo Kovacic is the most likely choice, right? A clever central midfielder who's played for some absolute European giants like Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Man City. He's won 3 Champions Leagues, competed in a World Cup final. I think he's the next Guardiola disciple. I'm going to call it now. He's a future Real Madrid boss in about 20 years. Man United, Jonny Evans. Easy, easy, easy. The most obvious choice in the list. Jonny Evans is a future manager. We could probably have predicted that back from his Sunderland days. Evans is a born leader. If he doesn't become a manager, I'll be shocked. I reckon he retires next summer, becomes coach of the Man United under 23s, before some struggling championship club like Stoke take the plunge. And yeah, he'll grow up to be the next Steve Bruce, an ex-Man United centre-back leader who becomes an average journeyman manager. And he'll probably inhale less pies. And another thing, I think Jonny Evans is also going to manage in the MLS. Probably for Inter Miami. Newcastle, Matt Ritchie. Oh, come on, this is obvious. I know people think that the obvious choice is Kieran Trippier. And yeah, he probably will become one too. But picking Matt Ritchie is almost a home run. It's virtually guaranteed. Why else is he still hanging around Newcastle at 34? Eddie Howe is a man who had him at Bournemouth. And yet he now looks like he'd sooner eat a barbecued bat than pick Ritchie in Newcastle midfield. This man who's lived in the northeast of England for 7 years now. His wife and kids have always remained in Bournemouth, right? Lads, Ritchie is literally closer to Paris than his own damn wife. There has to be a reason he's chosen to stay up north. Maybe he secretly hates his wife's cooking and much prefers eating Chinese takeaways. To be fair, I literally saw him coming out of one once, but he must surely be learning under Howe behind the scenes. With both eyes now on a coaching career. He knows Newcastle have outgrown him, but he's still there. There is a reason. It reminds me of how at Man City, Patrick Vieira hung around in the background even though his legs were like wet cement. Yeah, Ritchie will be good. Future Rangers boss, where he's going to dominate the Scottish League for a solid 5 years. Nottingham Forest, Divock Origi. Look, you're probably all going to want to pick a boring Nottingham Forest pick like Joe Warren or Scott McKenna. Just straight-laced, personality-less robots. Oh yeah, probably will be coaches one day. But lads, there is always a maverick. Someone who you never expected to go into management, like Nicolas Anelka, Diego Maradona, Joey Barton, Paulo Di Canio, Gianfranco Zola, Lee Boyer, Carlos Tevez, Arda Turan, even Pascal Chimbonda. Manages Skelmersdale United? Nobody ever predicted any of those guys would ever become managers. And Origi, wacky super sub Divock Origi. He is a man who has survived in the huge pressure moments, literally scoring in a Champions League final. That alone gives him the profile to be given a crack at management. Look at all the players who scored in club football's biggest game. Most of them become managers. It's true. Of all the goals ever scored in a European Cup final, most of those goal scorers become managers. Even Sol Campbell. It's just a fact. Sheffield United, John Fleck. Easy. John Fleck, future Rangers manager. Obviously, next. He also smells like the future boss of Fleetwood Town, who always seems to like appointing volatile big names. Tottenham, Hugo Lloris. You probably all think that this is a weird one, right? Goalies don't become managers. No, they don't, but some do. I mean, lads, Hugo Lloris literally played under one 2 years ago. And yeah, for a goalkeeper to have kept the Tottenham captain's armband off Harry Kane's bicep for his entire career, it's unheard of. It would have been a bit like Shay Given, depriving Alan Shearer of being Newcastle captain. No, there'd have been more chance of him sneezing on a squirrel. Lloris also captained France to World Cup glory. This is no ordinary crazy goalkeeper like Jens Lehmann or David James. No, Lloris, there is leadership quality about him. He is someone who turned down a deadline day dream homecoming switch to Nice in the summer because he didn't think it was fair to commit to the club without a comprehensive, long meeting about the club's sporting goals. This is a man who takes football extremely seriously. I'm gonna say it, he's going to mirror Didier Deschamps. He'll have a couple of coaching jobs at Lyon, Marseille, before becoming France manager, and then yeah, he'll spend his late 50s in charge of PSG. Honestly, Lloris is going to be the best ex-goalie manager in the world. Wait, West Ham, James Ward-Prowse. Well, this is obvious. James Ward-Prowse has future Southampton manager literally tattooed on his face. But lads, honestly, if he doesn't become Southampton manager one day, I will drink 9 pints of cat food in one afternoon. Wolves Matt Doherty. We are looking at the future Republic of Ireland manager. I mean, surely there is such a shortage of quality Irish bosses, which is why it looks like we have an actual postman in charge of us. Getting tactically chewed apart by Gus Poyet, a failed Sunderland boss. Doherty, surely you've learned under Mourinho, Conte, and Simeone. Surely he's going to wind up being an absolute defensive monster of a coach. He'll play 5 at the back with a couple of absolute beef burgers in midfield. The team will be built on winning back possession and grinding out clean sheets. And yeah, I think Doherty will be the first manager since Mick McCarthy to get us into the knockout stages of a World Cup. Now hurry up and retire. Anyway, that's the video. What do you think? I'm gonna go. What do you think? What do you think in the comments? Let me know. Who do you think is going to be a manager from your club? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.